So what is going on with the Sandro Tonali situation? We've seen some reports in Italy linking Newcastle with a swap deal with Tomori, and Tomori certainly a player Newcastle have been interested in, but I think really with Tonali, I think Newcastle are fully committed to trying to get him to the other side of this ban, and they certainly won't be looking to cash in early. The interest really comes from the Italian side because, if we're being honest, they've never really shut the door on the player that they love so much. They've said it on the record that the door's always going to be ajar for Sandro Tonali at the San Siro Stadium, and really he is a player that has got a lot to prove at Newcastle still because of what happened last season. But I think he's got the full backing of the fans. They've been chanting his name all through last season, and I think they dream of the day that Joelinton, Bruno, and Tonali can line up in the middle. And I think that would be a great day for Newcastle, and it certainly would be a midfield that could compete with the best of them. The player himself, has said in the past he can't hide his passion for AC Milan, but at the moment, I think Newcastle are not in the mood to be doing any cheap deals with AC Milan. They know that Tonali has got a lot to prove to them as well. And I think basically it's a case of getting him settled down for pre-season, getting the minutes under the belt that he needs, and then, that third game against Tottenham Hotspur of the season where he'll be back in front of a full house. So it's, it's this time of year as well. I think really there's a lot of feelers being put out by clubs who believe they might be able to get a bargain somewhere along the line. AC Milan are certainly going to be in that category under new management, and they're basically looking to bring in a few players. But Tonali, as I say, has a lot to prove at Newcastle. It would take something, an unbelievable deal from Newcastle's point of view, for them to sell him back. And I think at the minute Newcastle fans just want to see that midfield trio, as I say, Bruno, Joelinton, and Tonali in there. So that's going to be interesting to see when that does eventually calm down. So the latest we know on James Trafford with Burnley, I think Newcastle obviously do have a huge interest. That's now been stood up from both sides, and they're looking to bring in another goalkeeper to potentially push Nick Pope for that number one spot next season. It looks like Dubravka's going to be going the other way once a suitable club has been found. But James Trafford, while he will be keen on the move, while Newcastle will be able to pay his wages, that won't be a problem because he's 21-year-old who's not on the astronomical figures that we've seen some players come in on, and really Newcastle know that he is a player of a lot of potential. The latest news we're getting though from this one is that Newcastle are going to have to bid up for his services. Man City accepted a £15 million offer for Trafford last season. He left Man City to go to Burnley, and Burnley are looking to make a profit on the player. There's no surprise on that. So Newcastle will have to bid up on that one if they want James Trafford. It shows where Newcastle are in terms of they are cutting the cloth accordingly. So every deal has to be looked at very carefully. But realistically, the player himself will know that Premier League is where he wants to be, and if he's got an opportunity to push to be number one at Newcastle United, that will be more appealing than being number one in the Championship with Burnley. It's no doubt about it. So it's a deal that's going to be ongoing. It's an early one for Newcastle. They want to get business done before pre-season training. That's now become more difficult by the day because they are back in 10, 12 days or something like that. They're going to be going back in for testing. So Newcastle want to be ready for pre-season, but the market sadly is more stubborn than that, and some deals will take more time. So that's where we are today. As I say, we're a week or so into the transfer window. Other clubs still haven't really made massive breakthroughs yet. So Newcastle will, things will start to unfold, but it's going to be a strange window, this one. So Newcastle know they have to sit tight on certain deals, and they've got to stick to the budget that they've got. So Interesting time. One Newcastle fans, I know that hanging on every sort of story, but really, it's one where Eddie Howe will be confident he can eventually, when that window shuts, he will have around four new faces in the door, but it's going to take time.